Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 287 of Screw the Commute podcast. We're here with Ruth Klein, and she is an internationally known brand strategist. She's a best-selling author of 6 books. She's a speaker, an expert celebrity branding maven for leaders, CEOs, and entrepreneurs. And she's even had the big O. Wait a minute. No, I mean, she's been in Oprah magazine, you dirty-minded people out there. So she's been in the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, CNBC, Fox, CBS, ABC, NBC, and dozens of other media. So we'll bring her on in a minute. And I hope you didn't miss episode 286. This is about choosing hostings. Now, you know, on Mondays, I always talk about things that have either made me a lot of money or saved me a lot of money. And hosting can really do both. And most people just usually take whatever's thrown at them. But you don't want to do that. So that episode gave you all the details on what you should know about hosting your website. So make sure you can make an informed decision there. Now, how would you like to hear your own voice here on Screw the Commute? Well, if the show's helped you out at all in your business or given you ideas to help you start a business, we want to hear about it. Visit screwthecommute.com and look for a little blue sidebar that says send voicemail. Click on it, talk into your phone or computer and tell me how the show's helped you, and put your website in there so we can give you a big shout out in your own voice on a future episode of Screw the Commute. Now, make sure you grab a copy of our automation ebook. This is something that we sell for $27, but you get it for free for listening to this show. And it's helped me handle up to 150,000 subscribers and 40,000 customers without pulling my hair out. Really, it saved me, we figured it out a couple years ago, 7.5 million keystrokes, just one of the tips in this book. So make sure you grab that at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And everything I talk about, including Ruth's great stuff, will be in the show notes for episode 287. So it's screwthecommute.com/287. And while you're over at the site, make sure you grab a copy of our podcast app. That's screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. And we have instructions, video instructions, screen captures, because a lot of times you get an app and you don't know how the heck to run the thing. So we don't want that to happen to you. So you can take us with you on the road and actually know how to use the darn thing. All right, now we're sitting here in the middle of this pandemic, and the work from home searches on Google are going crazy. And I've been preaching this since 1996, right? So I know a lot of people are saying, well, I wish I'd have listened to you back then. Yeah, you probably do, because this is maybe a good thing in the long run to hit you in the face with a 2x4 to tell you, hey, I need to be able to make money from my computer all around the world. So my school was the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country. That's our sponsor, imtcva.org. It's a great legacy gift for your kids or your grandchildren to give them a usable skill in as little as a couple months, rather than 5 years of learning how to protest and hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and then competing for jobs at Starbucks. So we have one girl's making $6,000 a month 4 months into the school, and she's not even graduated yet. So this is real stuff, not hocus pocus, and it's allowed me to live this lifestyle business for 26 years is when I've been doing this, since the internet started, commercial internet in 1994. So this is real stuff. Give me a call and we'll kick it around. All right, let's get to the main event. Ruth Klein works with experts, conscious leaders as opposed to unconscious leaders. She's not very good with those people that are unconscious, I guess so. And C-suite executives to help them become highly visible as thought leaders in their industry. And she helps them create lucrative businesses and powerful personal brands by honing their message and communicating it through writing books, signature speeches, and purpose-driven brands. And in 2019, Ruth launched her Generation Why Not podcast. We're gonna get into that a little bit more later, so we'll talk about that as we go. But Ruth's clients add multi 6 and 7 figures. That's a lot of money, folks, to their business or company. They host PBS specials. They're high 5-figure international speakers. They receive hundreds of media pickups with one press release, and they become best-selling authors. And I mean, she's got this long track record of helping people. And some have even become $500 million business brands. So, and raising funds. She's also, she's been doing it since she was in 3rd grade. The problem is she still looks like she was in 3rd grade. I hate her. She's never aged since the first day I met her. She's got all kinds of degrees in clinical psychology. I don't think she knows that I also graduated in psychology. However, I learned more about psychology in the 6 years I owned a nightclub and was in gunfights and night fights than I did in school. She's written 6 books, bestsellers, Time Management Secrets for Working Women. I know we have a lot of them out there. The De-Stress Diva's Guide to Life, Manage Your Time, Market Your Business, and the Everything Guide to Being a Sales Rep. And this is her highly anticipated 7th book. It just was released, Generation Why Not? 7 Principles to a Purposeful Business and Life Driven by Attitude, Not Age. Ruth, are you ready to screw the commute?
I am.
Wow. I'm horse reading all your credentials. Gee whiz. So it's been a long time, kiddo, since I first met you and saw you. But tell everybody what you're doing now, and then we'll take you back and see how you came up all the way to get to where you are today.
Sure. So basically, I work with coaches and authors and entrepreneurs, C-level suites, and I do a lot today, Tom, with mindset. It's my belief that 80% of success is mindset
Mm-hmm.
and 20% is skill set. Because I will tell you, I'm sure that in your practice as well, certainly in mine and what I see, you can give people all the skills in the world, but if for whatever reason they don't follow up, or they start it because they feel that they're a failure or they can't do it, I mean, they're basically stopped in their
Right.
tracks.
Yep.
So I do a lot with what I call multi-million dollar mindset, success mindset. I like multi-million because a million today is a million. Why
That's
not
passe.
multi-million?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really, why not? And so I basically help people with that. But in addition, that there's a big mindset piece where people don't realize how much expertise they have. They really don't. They don't think that they know enough. They don't think that they have the expertise to at least start. Yeah, do personal development. Yeah, take classes. Go to your school. I mean, I got my start with you. You were my first awesome mentor, and I'm still checking in with you on occasion because you are sustainable. You're the real deal. And so find out what those skills are, but you've got to have the underlying mindset. And so I help people identify what their expertise is so that they can become thought leaders in their industry, in their business. It doesn't mean that they're going to have a TV show. What it means is that they're able to identify and express what they do, who they are, what their uniqueness is, and the results that they can get for people who work with them. That's at the end of the day, that's what people want. I want to know, how can you help me relieve my pain? Period. And so many people have the expertise, but they don't share it. I mean, they simply don't share it. I could give you so many stories in the health industry now, anyone in the health industry now. Are you giving free YouTube reports, trends, information, how to keep up your immunity, what autoimmune disease means, how to handle those kinds of things? I mean, there's so much you can do, and in every industry, and especially during this period, people are, they're zooming, they're looking for stuff. To your point, the Google, the search words are just going nuts. Yes. So where are you in all of this? But if you don't think that you have something to say, if you don't think that you look good on camera or whatever that is, well, that's going to be hurtful for you. So that's where I come in. And so that part of that expertise and thought leadership, Tom, is what I call brand strategy. And what's the messaging and what's the marketing involved? Because you give great marketing, good Lord, you give great marketing ideas. But again, you've got to be able to follow up and implement. And so I help people organize and leverage and monetize their content, whether it's in books or ebooks or webinars they've done, or even social media posts. You can do something with that. Um, Sales letters, you can take that content and convert it into an online class or program. And then I also help people write their, what I call their legacy book. And a legacy book is the centerpiece of a lucrative enterprise. It's the essence of who you are. It's how you're unique. It's your messaging, your ideas, how you see the world. That's your book. That's your legacy book.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that you said that I really want to highlight. Is one is about
Yeah.
they don't think they have anything to say, but and that's a very typical problem. But some things that they forgot about 20 years ago, people would kill to know nowadays. So you can't think of where you are now. You have to think of the person that wants to be where you are now. And what you could do to help them get there. And then the other thing you were talking about, you could go and give updates on YouTube. Well, I saw one guy, I shared it a bunch of times. He was just showing people how to go to the grocery store and bring your groceries home and sanitize the bags and everything before you ate them, and exactly how to do it. He got like millions of views overnight. So yeah, these platforms that we have are just so powerful. You got to take advantage of them. So take us back and say, well, did you ever have a job? How did you get out of it? How did you turn into this brand strategist?
It's interesting. I had a job when I was still going to grad school. And oh my God, I was so bored. I can't even begin to tell you.
Now, where are you from?
And, I'm from Central California, from
Okay.
Bakersfield, California. And I would finish early, and I would literally, I'm young here, and I would ask for more work because I couldn't even imagine sitting around not doing anything. And then before I knew it, it seemed like I was being ostracized and I was getting the eye. And I thought, man, oh man, I could never, never, first of all, be told what to do. And secondly, have this 8 hours or 9 hours strewn out during the day when I know that I couldn't live like that. That's just me. I need to be able to have a lifestyle that I can live, and I need a life and be able to use my expertise and be able to make a very lucrative income. And so that's when I realized that. That was about at the same time that I was in grad school, and I went to a junior college because I wanted to be a counselor, a student counselor, and they were filled up. So one of the administrators said, Ruth, why don't you go talk to the psychology department and see if he has an opening for you to teach? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to teach college, but I need food and I need money. And so I went and spoke to the psychology prof, the chairman, and boy, we hit it off. And I walked away, Tom, and I thought to myself, damn, he's going to hire me. I don't want to teach. Well, he did hire me, and I thought it would be for one class. He ended up hiring me for 3 classes. So I started teaching college. And in one of those classes, I was a really tough prof. They saw me as really tough. You know why?
Why?
Because I had them read the book,
Oh,
and
my
I
God.
kept them.
You're a
And I
slave
kept
driver.
them the entire yeah, and I kept them the entire time of class, and I was upon as a really tough prof. But
Yeah,
one of
you're
my
supposed to.
students,
If I'd have been there, I'd have taught you how to do it correctly. You're supposed to give them credit for protesting and then indoctrinate them to anything wild. And then you're a good professor,
You know
apparently.
what? See, I missed the memo and I didn't know you at that time. And so one of the students, he was one of two A students, that was it. And he came up to me after one class and he goes, what do you really want to do? And I said, well, I would love to work in corporate America doing, consulting. And and so he set up an appointment with a very large Fortune 500 company.
This is one of
And
your
I
students.
yes,
Wow.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And he was older than I, and he this was an evening 3-hour evening class, and he worked during the day. He set me up with HR. They hired me on the spot, and I started to do things like time management and performance appraisals and communication and all the things that I was trained to do, and then some, and learning along the way. And then from there, Tom, I ended up getting calls to do training in other industries, and then from training, I turned it into consulting and training,
Okay,
and
but
then I
were you
worked
working
for a lot of.
as a job, or you were an independent contractor at this point, or
Oh, I was
what?
an independent contractor. I was a freelancer.
Okay, okay.
Remember, I couldn't imagine having a job.
Right, you
No, no,
screwed the
no, no,
commute.
no.
Right. Okay.
Yes, exactly right. And screw the other stuff too.
Yeah.
And so that goes along with it.
Right.
And so I, basically started that route, and I absolutely loved it. And then one day I was making dinner really quickly, and I had three small children at home at the time, and my ex was there, and I was making dinner, and I had just come home, and I made dinner like in 30 minutes, and there was I think a maintenance man there, and he thought, how did you do that? How did you just make dinner in 30 minutes? How could you have time like that? And to me, it was nothing. But then I started to realize, I started listening to what other mothers said and what this maintenance man said, and it was all centered around people were so tight on time. They were so overwhelmed with what they had to do. And so I thought, you know what? I need to write a book on time management.
Yeah,
And
but
so,
here's the thing, Ruth.
yeah.
I could easily make dinner in 30 minutes. I was watching some kids the other day, and how long does it take to pour some cereal in a bowl for dinner? It was dinner cereal. It wasn't breakfast cereal.
Well, that's certainly one way to do it. But you know what I would, and this might be a really good tip for your listeners, and that is, I would work, and then I would basically stop by, and I might even have had a child and picked one up or two or three, who knows, at that time from school. And then we would go to the grocery store. I'd go to the meat department. This meat department was
No
amazing.
sense going there
They
today because there's no meat there.
No, you can't do that today, but you
Right.
can certainly do it online.
Yeah,
You can
okay.
certainly do it online, and it requires just a little planning, not a whole bunches. And I would just basically choose which, marinated chicken I was going to have that night, pick up some fresh vegetables and a salad. Boom, that was dinner. And so I basically put the chicken in the oven or the steak in the oven or whatever it was, made some vegetables, got into relaxing clothes from work, and had dinner within 30, 40
Yeah.
minutes on the
It's
table.
still not as fast as cereal, but I hear you.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It might be a little bit more nutritious, but it's definitely not as quick.
Hey, I have one time management thing in my whole life. See if you like it or not. It's
Okay.
half equals empty. That's my time management tip. So when my gas tank gets to half, that's empty, and I
Uh huh.
always get the fastest place I can to fill it up. So I'm never like stuck when I have to go somewhere in an empty tank. That's it.
Well, I'll tell you, that's just darn smart. And that seriously, that's smart. And see, that's part of time management, Tom. It's planning. It's planning. And it's not about working so hard. It truly is about planning your day. So, another really fabulous time management tip and mindset tip, quite honestly, is especially if you're a morning person, which the majority of people are, but not everyone, that you set aside quiet time. You literally set aside quiet time. And if that means you have to get up before the kids and the family, so be it. You just do it. And you have just time for yourself to do nothing but just allow stuff to come in, or journal. I prefer journaling, and in that course of journaling, and it doesn't even take 20 minutes, in that course of journaling and quiet time, I've already identified the key projects for the day. I don't have to depend on my to-do list so much anymore. I do still have a list, but every day it's what are the freshest priorities, and it helps many times by that journal process. If there is an issue that I have, or there's a concern, or there's a worry, I seem to work it out almost always just by that journaling process. And we don't realize how much time is wasted by obsessive thoughts.
Excessive thought.
Obsessive,
Oh, I
excessive,
thought you said, yeah, if you
obsessive.
think too, well, I mean, if you think too much too, people think too much and don't do
Yeah,
anything. Yeah.
exactly,
See,
exactly. And unless those obsessive thoughts are moving you forward and in the direction you want, you know, let them go. Work them out and let them go.
okay, well, see, I could do this, but I have to wash my face first because my alarm clock is my dog licking my face to get up out of bed. So hey, tell us about this latest book.
All right. All right. Well, I am pretty proud of this book. It's interesting. I've been really proud of all my books, but this book, I had so much resistance writing this book, Tom. And normally, I write a book part time in 4.5 months, because I first put together a proposal, and I already outline it. And my clients do the same thing. I have them do the same thing. Sometimes the hardest part
So this
is
is going for a major publisher, you mean?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
this is one for a major publisher.
Yeah.
But even so, with my clients, um, I still have them not necessarily write a proposal, but we identify the chapters. We identify the chapters within the first two sessions based on their expertise and brainstorming, and bringing in all what I call all the dots of the puzzle. We need all of your puzzle pieces, because people are a 360-degree hologram, if you will. And so I had someone in Canada who used to work for what we would refer to as the government in family and children's services. And she had a real passion to help moms and children that needed economic assistance. But she thought that was a different world, that was a different time. Well, it's not. Everything we've done, everything a person has done, has gotten them to the place where they are today. And that's what I help do with that 360, is identify all the puzzle pieces. And she ended up using that puzzle piece, which she had forgotten and didn't think it was worthy, because as working as a financial coach with women entrepreneurs that wanted to have a social mission and start a foundation. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
And so, had we not had that piece, that's all part of that brand strategy, because your brand is you. It's you. It's all of you.
And a lot of
And
times
how do
people are
we
just too
strategically?
close to it. They're too close to it to see. That's what a
Exactly.
part of your value is,
That's
to
right.
see things that they can't see because they're in the woods and you're hovering over in a drone looking at the big picture for them.
You're absolutely correct.
So the title of the
Absolutely
book
correct. And
is
Generation Why Not? 7 Principles to a Purposeful Business and Life, driven by attitude, not age. So I had a hypothesis, Tom, and I've often thought this, that it really doesn't matter one's age. What matters is their persistence, their consistency, their attitude. And so in this book, I interviewed a few millennial multi-million dollar unicorn startups. I interviewed two severely autistic young boys, one who is an actor who will be bringing in a couple $1 million this year, another autistic boy that's 25 years old who cannot speak, and yet he goes around the United States, including the United Nations, and gives speeches through the special um, pencil recorder
Mm-hmm.
that it has been developed. I interviewed an 84-year-old man who was a retired insurance man who wrote 4 books in as many years and now has a YouTube show based on the information in his books. He's excited to give speeches. I interviewed a 30-something who had an online fitness business with her husband, and her best friend ends up with her husband. They get a divorce, and they had created all this technological stuff, and he took it, and now she was left with nothing. And so she had to start from scratch. And now, 3.5 years later, her business is appraised at 250 to $300 million.
Serves them right.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? I had
Well, speaking of
a
that, let me jump in here for a second.
sure.
Do you remember me talking about recruiting geeks and techno, young
Yes,
people?
yes,
Did you ever meet
yep,
Ilya, the kid that worked for me, the first one I recruited?
yes.
He
Uh
just
huh.
he just sold his third startup, Pluto.tv. You're sitting
Uh
down,
huh.
right? $340
Yeah.
million to Viacom.
Wow.
Yeah, I told him
Wow.
he's buying dinner next time I come out there. That's for sure. Now you got a
Oh, I
podcast
love
too,
hearing
right?
stories. I do, by the same name,
Uh-huh.
Generation Why Not? And I interview entrepreneurs and coaches and authors who look through life with a different perceptual lens that when they see the glass, they don't even see half, Tom. They don't see it as half empty or half full. They see it as 3/4 to almost full. That's just how they see the world. And because of that, they're open to possibilities and they listen. They may not like what you have to say, but at least they listen. And they are willing to have do overs. They're willing to have second acts and third acts. They're willing to be. I had a client who was in her early 30s who was a lawyer. She hated law and she felt so badly. She didn't want to practice anymore, but she felt badly that her parents had paid for her law degree and she just didn't know what to do. So we went through all of that and she ended up being able to be confident and telling her parents, and she ended up starting another business and a something that she really wanted to do, and she's very successful at it. Because here's the deal, the qualities that got her through law school are going to be the qualities that get her through a successful business, period. And so what is that? It's not age, it's attitude.
That's for sure. And I have been
Mhm.
ragging a little bit on the millennial generation for not having the right attitudes, but you've picked out the ones that do apparently. So
Well, you know what? Well, I'm going to share something with you. I think millennials get a tough rap.
you
I'm
don't
going to
think they
say,
earned some of it?
well, I think, yeah, I do.
Okay.
I personally think through my experiences, 3/4 of millennials are you know, um, have those internal values. The 1/4%, the 25% that doesn't, they're they get the most vocal
Mm-hmm.
opinion,
Right.
because I do believe that. I could be wrong, but in my experience, and even with the clients that I have lots of millennials. I have Generation X, I have baby boomers. So I even have seniors. So yeah, it runs the gamut. It runs the gamut. And the millennials, I'll tell you, they're one of the most anxious generations ever, and they are really torn between what people think of them and what they think they can do. And they've been caught in the 2008, 2009 financial disruption. Now they're being caught in this pandemic disruption. And so they've experienced a lot of interesting circumstances.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now we have to take a brief sponsor break, and when we come back, we're going to ask Ruth what's a typical day look like for her, how she's working. Does she get up early? Does she work out? What's it look like for her? And then how she stays motivated. And then she's got a great place for you to follow her too. So folks, about 20 years ago, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, because guys at my level were charging 50 or 100 grand up front. And I knew a lot of these guys. If you gave them 50 grand, you'd never see them again. So I thought, this is not right. I'm a small business advocate. I wanted to make sure the small businesses got to take advantage of all this knowledge I had gained. And so I kind of flipped the switch here, and I charged a relatively small entry fee to my mentor program, with a percentage of profits tied to it that was capped. So you're not stuck with me forever. But for me to get my 50,000, you had to net 200,000. And people really kind of like this. And 1,700 students later, they're still going strong, and it's got all kinds of unique features. You spend an immersion weekend at the retreat center, of course, not until this pandemic's over. And we have a TV studio for you. But probably the biggest thing is you have one-on-one consulting by appointment, unlimited, with me and my entire staff of subject matter experts, which people like me, nobody will even talk to you, let alone teach you anything. So it's, I'll put it up against any program on earth. I triple dog dare you to find one that gives the value that we give. So you can check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. We're so sure of ourselves, we even finance your entry fee if you need it. So it's extremely powerful. It's the longest running ever, most successful in this field. So check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. And plus, it includes a scholarship to the school I was telling you about earlier. And that's what happened. The guy joined the mentor program. He gifted a scholarship to his daughter, who he had spent $80,000 on her education, and she was working a crappy job. And within a couple months, she was making thousands of dollars just with what she learned in the school. So it's very, very powerful. This is not hocus pocus, and I've got a long track record to prove it for you. So give us a call. No machine gun nest or high pressure here, but we want to talk to you about your future, or your children's or your grandchildren's future online. All right, let's get back to the main event. Ruth Klein is here. She is a dynamo. And she was just telling us about her great book, but we want to see a little bit about how she works. So Ruth, do you get up early? Do you work out? How does your day go?
Yeah. So in an ideal, I'm prepared to tell you. So in an ideal, Tom, I just have to say, it's just so wonderful reconnecting with you. And I have to give you a plug for 1 second, if I may. For all the listeners, I am truly, truly adamant and in saying that Tom Antion is the real deal. His passion, and continues to be to teach, so people can get it for their success. And I just, sorry to stop this.
No,
but
I'm blushing. I'm blushing over
I
it.
just needed to share that, Tom, because you are the real deal. You have been in this for so long, and I'll tell you, you're consistent. You have the same open heart and passion to help. When I worked with you back in 2006 or 7, I think it was, and it just hasn't changed. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's quite amazing when you consider how incredibly successful you are. All right,
Well,
that's enough for you.
thank you.
I just,
And
but
when
I
you
had to say that.
when you said earlier, you said consistency and persistency, and I was just being interviewed yesterday, and people asked, "Well, what's the key to your success?" Persistency and consistency. People know what to expect from you, and it's no guessing game when you deal with people when they're consistent and persistent. So, all right, back to
That's
you.
exactly right.
Thank you
And
so
that's your
much.
brand. That's part of your brand also. And people don't realize that. Okay. So, in terms of my time, in an ideal world, I would wake up at 5 a.m. I love waking up before sunrise, and I'm very fortunate. I live in California and I overlook the ocean,
Beautiful.
and it is just stunning to watch the sunrise and sunset actually. And so I normally get up though around 6 a.m., which means I get to bed at 10 a.m. I'm very much protective of my time, Tom. I find that I need 8 hours of sleep, and that is not somewhere that I am going to um, make up time for by not sleeping. No, it doesn't work for me. Maybe some people can do it, and maybe I can do it for 2 days, and then I need to sleep because I don't feel good not being at the top of my game. And I know what it feels like to be at the top of my game, and I know what it feels like to be sluggish, and I do not like that feeling of being sluggish. I'm not as creative, I'm not as productive, and quite honestly, I'm not as happy. And so I make sure I literally do this tush backwards. I figure out what time I have to go to bed or I want to go to bed so I have my 8 hours. And so I normally wake up around 6. I and I have my delicious coffee that I make, and half the real deal and half decaffeinated. And then I immediately take my journal, which is a notebook from Staples, and my pen, which is a expert celebrity pen, and I just start writing stream of consciousness just to let it out and see what happens. And I mean to tell you, my day gets organized. I remember things that I had not thought of that I needed to do. I now have such a belief and a knowing that I don't worry that I'm going to get the most important things done that every day. It doesn't mean I get done everything. Obviously, I don't. But the most important, I do. And so much of it starts first thing in the morning. That makes me happy. That inspires me to have a great morning. I also have this thing because my time management. I also found that I call it the focused 4 or focused 5 hours. In my opinion and in my life and in with my clients, I suggest that if they can work 4 focused, in some cases depending on the industry, 5 focused hours every day, and that can be broken up. It can be 2.5, an hour and a half. It can be 2.5, 2.5. It can be 3 and an hour and a half, whatever that might look like, but it's during their high energy time. So for me to start doing a project, a creative project at 4 p.m., I'm ready to stop to end my day. I usually work. I do my, as I say, wake up at 6. I have my coffee. I have my journaling. I read the Wall Street Journal. I might look at my phone for the news. I try diligently not to look at anything else on my phone. No emails. If you want to get misdirected on your time and waste a lot of time, check your emails, check your social media, check all that. But if you don't, if you want to stay on purpose, do not check that in your highest energy period. And so I'll work. So that's 6 to 8 is my journal time. I might meditate. I can't meditate for very long unless it's writing. I just can't sit there and it's just not me. And read the Wall Street and maybe read an inspirational book. and then I start my focus 2 hours later. However, I've done so much planning and what I call downloading that I'm ready to go. I'm motivated. I'm going to be productive. It's a mindset once again. And I tackle uh, the most pressing project, high priority project first, and then I now set my phone on alarm, and I only sit there for about 35 minutes, and then I get up, and then I'll put Alexa on, and I'll listen to a dance song because I love to dance, and I just literally dance around the house for 3 minutes, the time of the dance of the song, and that gets me going. It gets circulating, and then I go back to work, and then on a project. And then I find that about 3.5 hours into my focused 4 hours or 5 hours, I go for a walk. Because if I don't go for a walk at that time, and even like today, it was only 20 minutes, it was short, but I knew I had to keep up the habit of going for a walk. And so, even though it's 20 minutes, and then I've already uh, looked at my day, I will go for another 20 minutes after dinner. And I like having dinner around 5 p.m. because I'm starving by then, and I have dinner at 5. And it I mean, in the real world, I might have it a little bit later if I go out with friends. It's not a problem. But what I have done during this time, because I'm a social person and I like people and I like to socialize, I've started afternoon wine chats and afternoon tea chats. And so friends and I will get together on Zoom, and we'll just, chat and about nothing.
Does anybody
And
get drunk?
I can't say. I
Okay, that's
can't
right. That's
say.
right.
But I will tell you, my favorite wine, Tom, is Rombauer. Uh-huh. It's a Cabernet. It's not a Cabernet. It's a oh, I can't think of what it is. Right, a Zin. It's a Zinfandel. It's phenomenal. And so anyway, that's what we do, and so that's pretty much my day. And then by the afternoon, that I'll on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, I have clients starting no earlier than 1 p.m. and goes until 4 p.m., sometimes a little bit later. I'm going to be starting two group programs, one on I call the Ninja Success Mindset. That'll start at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm also starting another group called Organize, Leverage, and Monetize Your Content. That'll also be at 4 p.m. And so, except for those late afternoons for group programs, I'm usually done by 4 or 5 um, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Mondays and Fridays, I don't see clients. I might do interviews. I might interview for my own show, do interviews as I am with you right now, and it gives me an opportunity at the beginning of the month to start the week, get a real good start on my high priority projects for that week, and then Friday allows me to follow up and complete as much as I can on those projects.
All right, let me
And
ask you
I
a couple questions. So, do
Yeah.
you, when you're dancing around, are you dressed or undressed?
I am dressed.
So,
I am
do
dressed
you get
because
up and
I have
dress?
windows.
Okay. Do you get up and dress as you're going to work, or you just from the waist up, you
No,
make sure you look good on Zoom, or what?
I make sure from the waist up. I
Right.
basically make sure from the waist up, but I'm usually in warm up clothes, quite
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
Okay. And then don't those
Yeah.
clients cut into your wine meetings?
No.
Oh, different
No
day.
way.
Different
No
day.
way. No way. No way. So they'll start the like yesterday I had one with a dear friend, and we've been meeting every Thursday at 4:45. That's kind of our time. And it's great. And it just so happens that I had another interview yesterday at 5:30. Someone was interviewing me for time management for new fathers, and that was scheduled at 5:30. And it's interesting. It's interesting, and I'm glad you brought this up, and because it prompted me to say this. If I know, and this is what's so beautiful, if we know, like if I know that you're going to have a seminar or a webinar or something that you do like at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., I stay up because I know that I need to have that energy to be able to take that information in. And then if I just can't muster that energy, which I can't sometimes, I still sign up for your material because it's so good, and then I go back and I try and re-listen to it so I don't miss some. I do miss some, but some I try to capture again. So it works, and I rarely work weekends. I used to give speeches on occasion on the weekends. I give 2 live events a year, and they're all day Friday, all day Saturday. I try and organize and have fun and get away and absolutely get away from the heady stuff on the weekend. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I have to spend one weekend day working. But here's the deal, if I don't take at least one day completely off, I find I don't have the same level of productivity and energy and motivation. And I have found that to be consistent over the years. And I would challenge anyone that works 7 days a week and works in the evenings. I would challenge them, and that they could be 2 to 3 times more productive if they didn't do that.
Oh, I don't know there, Ruth. Now I'm a little disappointed that, that you're kind of a slacker if you don't work 7 days a week, 24/7. I mean, hey, so tell them about Instagram and tell them how they get a hold of you.
Sure. I would love to be able to help your listeners with a complimentary strategy session, whether it's around branding and thought leadership or marketing messaging, or how to take some of their content and organize it, leverage it, and monetize it, or even write a book. And you can just simply go to my Instagram because I love Instagram. It's so easy for me. It's Ruth.Klein, and Klein is Klein. And in the link in bio, link tree, you just click that on, and you'll see strategy session, and you'll go directly to my calendar, and we'll set that up. Or if you don't want to do that extra step, you can DM me and let me know though that it was Tom's podcast that brought you, and that way give you a little something extra.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks so much for catching us up. You're such a dynamo. You always have been, and it's quite an inspiration to people out there to see that you get everything in, and I guess that's time management. But you get a great business going, you get your social life in, and you get your recharging your batteries in too, all in 1 week. Amazing.
And Tom, I just have to say one thing. When you were my first mentor in internet marketing, and you were the best one. The others, oh my goodness, I think I had one other one, and I just couldn't deal. But I have to share with you, because of what you taught us, I ended up doing a teleseminar, just like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, I remember charging $99 for it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people were charging 20 or 30, and people would email me, Ruth, everyone else is charging 27 or 49. Why are you charging so much? And I took something from your playbook because I owned it. I knew I had expertise, and I knew my drive, my passion was to help them and give them as much information as possible, and not play with them and give them a tease so that I could upsell them. And that's you, my friend. And I got that from you.
Well, that's mindset and attitude. That's beautiful. It folds right into what you're doing. So thanks so much. It's been wonderful catching up with you, and we're going to have all your stuff in the show notes, links, and of course you'll give us some links to where they can get your book or books, multiple books, and we'll have that all in the show notes. So. Beautiful. Everybody check out Ruth's stuff. This is episode 287. So you go to screwthecommute.com/287 to get hooked up with this fireball of a lady. So thanks so much, Ruth.
Thanks, Tom. Keep doing the wonderful, wonderful work you're doing for all of us.
Okie dokie. So everybody, we'll catch you all on the next episode. See you later.